Good morning and welcome to Raw at 4. I'm still Jeff. I'm still phenomenally blessed, but I think I look a little different today, right? Let's get a time check. It's 4:16 and 33 seconds on the East Coast. Slightly delayed today because I had some technical difficulties. Go figure, the IT guy with technical difficulties. But I'm super excited about today. Super excited. Today we're going to talk about continuing to take control and assessing your circle, which is powerful and difficult to do, and could hurt some feelings along the way. And we'll get into that. But super excited for today. I probably look a little different to you. I have a headset on, as you can see. I got a mic in front of me. I got a green screen behind me. So we're up in our professionalism here on Row at 4, and that's exciting. That's exciting. You'll see me kind of in my raw fashion get used to this setup. It's obviously maybe not so obvious, but it's uncomfortable for me for now because I've never done this, and having this equipment in front of me feels great, feels phenomenal, helps inspire me to move forward, because again I see some evolution, and I hope that comes off as well to you all who are watching. But a powerful thing for me in that we're evolving, we're getting better, and that's the ultimate goal. I'll figure out this looking thing too, like where am I supposed to look, how am I supposed to look at it, touch the mic, don't touch the mic, move it around to get it in the proper spot. But I hope you all are feeling good. I hope you all had a good weekend. I certainly did. A lot of traditional things for me now, as far as maintaining discipline, going through my weekend strong. Recorded the 6th episode of Raw at 4 on Saturday, and Sunday's a heavy reflect and rest day. And I'll keep this short as far as the significance of Sundays and why I think they're important. And what I do is similar to my workout routine, where you build in rest days. Sundays are my overall rest day, meaning I totally detach from my routine. I allow myself to eat things I wouldn't normally eat, wake up at a time I wouldn't normally wake up. I even skip prayer and meditation in the morning. And the reason I do all these things is because for me, how it works and what it allows me to do is remember what I don't like to do. And I do not like to be in a routine that's not disciplined. I no longer like to be in a routine that is not predictable. And Sunday is a day to remind me of that. And I also do a lot of reflection. I think a lot. I write down things a lot. I target what I'm going to be doing for the week, as it's Sunday's the start of my week, and I start to assess and plan how I'm going to move forward. So Sundays are really important. I also go to Costco and do things like buy the 40 pack of ice cream with the chocolate cookie bars. That's really what I go for. If you've gone to Costco and bought the box of ice cream, there's ice cream sandwiches. There's another cone in there that has sprinkles and all that stuff on it, and then there's the cookie bar. I go for the cookie bar. But anyhow, it's Raw at 4, and let's get into why we are here. And today we're going to talk again about assessing our circle. And and the circle is important because as you evolve and continue to move forward towards your goals and your dreams and your desires, your circle has a significant impact on how you move forward. And this is one of the things I did really early in my journey. And again, I'm still on my journey. I am nowhere near perfect or have achieved the level of success mentally within myself, spiritually and emotionally that I'm looking for. But I'm getting there. I'm getting there, and this process has been phenomenal. So your circle, Jim Rohn, right? He is a wildly successful entrepreneur. He talks about, and he's referenced, you are the 5 people you're closest to. And I think there's a lot of relevancy in that. And we're going to talk through specifically those 5 people, but really what I call the your circle, right? If you're like me and you watch the Fockers, the circle of trust, if you would, how you build that circle is immensely important to how you move forward. And that circle for me has 3 pillars. It has 3 pillars. And the top pillar, and they're not necessarily, when I say top, middle, and low, in no way, shape, or form is one more important than the other in my view. It's just where you're looking at mentally, right? So if you think of yourself level set on a plane, at your middle tier, at where you are are what I call your competition peers. Your competition peers. These are all the people who are probably very close to you in demographics as far as age, where you're from, where you are currently in your community, where you are in your life, and they are generally speaking in and around that plane. They may be slightly more successful, slightly less successful, but these are the people you kind of use to gauge yourself, right? I'll go into that a little more detail as we progress. Above you or the layer on top are your mentors, your teachers, your educators, the people who also keep you inspired but are teaching to you, and you're leveraging that to grow. And then the bottom tier would be where you are serving or you are nurturing. Nurturing is probably more of the word, but I call it, that's the space where you can serve. And how you serve is you take what you know from your competition peers, you take what you've learned from your mentors, and you accomplish things that you set out to accomplish, and then give back. I hope you give back. Don't be greedy, selfish fuck. You know, learn some shit and give it back. And that to me is the most fulfilling part, is being a nurturer, teaching and watching someone grow. And if you can step outside of yourself and see when you look in the mirror and see a reflection, see the reflection of someone else, because you're inspiring and watching them grow and attain things, it gives you a sense of fulfillment. That's the ultimate goal for me, is to teach what I've learned and watch people grow and flourish and even accomplish more than I could ever possibly accomplish. And it's a phenomenal thing. So let's get into it. Let's get into the quote unquote the five closest people and how they impact you. And I'll talk about my closest people. And if I look at my phone, I can tell you exactly where I was as far as who I've been texting lately and some of the context for which those conversations take place. But where I'll start is the mentorship role. And mentorship is important because that's the person who you are looking at that has attained something that makes it possible for you, that all of your or that makes it tangible when you talk about possibilities. So everything you look at as far as I want to go to these spaces, I want to achieve this level of success, I want to be in this space in my life. Your mentor should be teaching you that, and you should be seeking out a mentor. Drop your pride and your ego. Everyone needs to be taught. You can't learn I mean, you could learn on your own, but for me, as far as seeing things as tangible and getting the confidence to say, look, I've seen it, I've watched it, I've felt it, I can now do it. Your mentors should be in that space for you. And I'm going to give you two mentors in my life right now that are super important, and I'll explain their roles in somewhat minor detail. My current boss, so I'm in IT, and I report to the senior vice president of IT. He covers everything, and we'll call him NJ. And NJ for me is what I can see myself being in 3 to 5 years. And NJ is one step away from the C-suite level, meaning he'll be a CIO at some point. And in talking to him, he has a timeline of roughly 3 to 5 years as well. What I do is I currently own a department. I own one group, soup to nuts. It's all on me. All accountability is on me. I'm at the senior director level and en route to vice presidency, hopefully within the next year. And what I do is I use NJ to guide me, to nurture me, to teach me, and understand what he's doing to gain success. And what I see immediately is, as NJ is the overall leader of IT, I have a department that I own, and there's four others who individually own departments. NJ oversees all of that. So the easy thing for me to understand and acknowledge is, to attain that level of success, I have to take what I own in my one department and then own multiple departments. And that for me is how I get to the next level. The nuances, the granularities, the detail you pick up along the way, but that's what NJ does for me. He shows me it's possible to attain the next level. He shows me how to lead, and I pick apart all those things that make sense, and then of course I apply it to my individuality and how I do things, right? So mentors are important to show you the way. The next mentor that's super important in my life, and this person should be at every level. They should be in your mentorship tier, they should be in your competition peer, and they should also be someone who you are serving and nurturing. And that's my wife. That's my wife. And for all you out there like, oh, my wife, Why are you married then? All right, I'm gonna keep it right there and just stop because I don't want to get into too much detail there. But your significant other, your husband, your wife, your spouse, should be, if you have one, should be in all tiers. And if that person is not there, you don't have a significant other, and you should have someone who you're most closely associated with. Maybe your best friend should be someone that is a mentor to you because you should be able to learn from them. Someone who you're in competition with because they inspire you, and is someone who you, as you're learning with them, you're teaching and they're teaching. So my wife falls into that bracket. What my wife does for me right now is my wife is an expert in marketing. She's an expert in content. She's an expert in social media. And so I play off that from my podcast perspective. I want to achieve these things with my podcast. I want to be able to touch and serve and expand and do things. She teaches me what the right wrongs and the differences of that specific space. So very, very powerful mentors. And that's where it ends for me. What's the magic number? I think it's relative to you and how you are applying yourself and your logic to your growth, and also how high and how far are your goals. The bigger your goals, the more mentorship you're going to need. But I think having two mentors in your life simultaneously is should suffice. It does for me for right now. I'm going to skip the competition peer level, which is again your flat ground, your level set, your kind of medium of where you are, and I'm gonna get into the folks you nurture. And again, take what you learn and serve. Serving is it feels phenomenal. I promise you, the biggest thing that I've learned, and I've been in 20 years in my career, from a person who's been nurtured, who has had a lot of competition peers. When I got into management and I started to be able to nurture people, it's a phenomenal feeling. But even before that, my children. If you have children, you're nurturing all the time. Pay attention, pay close attention, because whatever you're giving them or not, they are perceiving, applying, and using to become the best version of themselves. So you are an influencer, and people hear influencer and they think 1 million followers and Mr. Beast and Elon Musk and all these great people, and they're phenomenal and their reach is expansive. But you can be an influencer of one person, right? Be bigger than yourself. And every person that you are able to influence, you are now multiplying yourself. So if I'm influencing my wife and my two children, I am now times four because I am in that space. So it's myself, my wife, my two children, four of us, all being impacted by me. So when they are producing an end result and driving outcomes, I am helping them produce the best possible outcome. And because they're in my circle, when they're at their greatest levels, by default, I'm at my greatest levels and I gain supreme satisfaction in watching people grow. Another person who I'm having a pleasure of nurturing is the manager of my team who directly reports to me. He's actually older than me, which is a difficult thing to do. He's like 10 or 12 years my senior. And that within itself can be intimidating. But I've been in management now for almost a decade, and he has not. And so while we are more competition peers in some levels and we teach each other, and I learned from him on fatherhood because he's a phenomenal father that has children and a wife that does great, and I aspire to do some of the things he does. I'm able to fortunately teach him management level things that he never has seen, known, or been able to do. And we've taken his life and supremely expanded it. I'm talking about almost a 40% increase over the last year, and the ability to change his life financially, emotionally, and spiritually. He and I are on a journey as far as when I do new things and I explore and share new things mentally and spiritually, I share that with him. An easy example, which I'll talk about one day, and I've referenced this in other podcasts. I am in another podcast with a really good brother of mine. He's my cousin, who's also my friend. His name is Sareed. We talked about cold showers, and I'll get into a cold shower and why it's important on the day. But I have those levels of nurturing relationships, and there's other folks who I nurture on varying levels. But those are that's my focus group as far as me giving all of what I am and what I've learned to these people with the hopes that they'll become the best versions of themselves because I have the most immediate impact to these folks. So really important two pillars, right? The mentorship level, the people you are mentoring, nurturing, serving. Extremely gratifying, fulfilling. It expands you immensely. Your ability to mentor and be mentored now really resides in that level set field, that medium, those competition peers. Now, if you go around and look around, folks will tell you, oh, you're only in competition with yourself. Yeah, that's true. But that's also, a real punk ass way of saying, I'm not gonna put myself in a healthy competition. I'm gonna avoid looking at what other people do because I'm just gonna worry about myself right now. And that's all well and good. But I'd argue that without competition peers, how do you know that what you're executing is truly, truly attainable? Yes, you have your mentors and you're watching it, but they've already achieved, and they're telling you what they've done. They can't really show you what they've done because they've already passed your level. Competition is also healthy for your spirit. I'm a sports guy. I played baseball, basketball, football pretty much growing up. Football and basketball more just kind of in my in and around area. Baseball structurally, and sports, that dynamic of where you fall in sports, the best players play. That's just a factual thing. And the people in and around your team inspire you to be better, or at least should, and show you the way. Or if you're on a shitty team, guess what they're doing? They're pulling you down. They become what I would refer to as energy vampires. So that medium tier, that middle tier, that level set tier, I'd argue is your most important tier. And that's where your five closest people should be. So I referenced Jim Rohn, right? The successful entrepreneur. And he talked about the five closest people to you, that you are the average of the five closest people to you. So if you have more than that, great. I'm not telling you to close off your circle and not have more than five people. But I'll say this to you. If you haven't right now, if you haven't achieved everything you want right now, close your fucking circle, like immediately. Close it. Close it, close it, close it. And at that middle tier, your competition peers, assess who those people are. Assess who those people are. Because these people influence you on a day-to-day. You're likely talking to them regularly, which means they're consuming a lot of your time, which means they're consuming a lot of your effort and your energy and your ability to move forward in some capacity. Let me share with you the people in my competition peer circle. All right. Two of them are from work. One I'll refer to as DW, and the other one I'll affectionately refer to as SVP. And I'll work backwards from SVP. The reason why I call the second gentleman SVP, I just revealed he's a gentleman, or at least refers to himself as one. Shout out to him, SVP. He was promoted, from vice president to senior vice president in 1 year. You have DW, who is a consultant, supremely versed in everything he does, and as a consultant is required to always provide expert level advice, guidance, and support. That's a very hard thing to do because you got to be top of game at all times. So SVP was promoted in a year from VP to SVP. I stayed attached to him. We started a week within each other. I stayed attached to him from go because I could identify that he is a phenomenal person. He's inspired. He wants to grow. He's about his money. He's about his family. He's about his life and his happiness. I got promoted in a year. Is that a coincidence? Not at all, because I tagged myself along with SVP. We put a lot of great things together in our business. We supported the business in high, high levels. We talk regularly, fostered a great relationship. I got me a 12% increase in my salary, which is phenomenal, right? Because I'm attached to SVP. DW has become not just a work peer, but also a personal peer, to the point of yesterday. He's also someone who was big into photography for at a portion of his life. He has a family who was in their own entrepreneurial business. He has a great family. He is again a consultant, which means he has to be at the highest level at all times. And he also is becoming a great friend. He gave me some really good feedback on my podcast yesterday. He gave me some really good feedback on my career, where I'm at, and where I could possibly go. Competition peers. I also then see them and what they're doing, And it shows me, man, I'm right there, right? And your competition peers are within yourself, and I'll use a kind of a somewhat, it's not a lavish thing, but we all might drive BMWs, right? Somebody has a 3 Series and they're all brand new, let's assume. Somebody has a 3 Series, somebody has a 5 Series. They're in and around the same price range. And if you have a 3 and you're messing around with somebody who has a 5, well, you see, okay, he got it, she got it, they got it. What do they do? It's the bracket between a 3 and a 5 Series is not that deep, right? 5 to a 7 Series. These are all jumps, incremental jumps, but easily attainable. The price range varies by, tens of 20s, 10, 20, 30,000 maybe. That is not that big of a jump. That is not that big of an increase. So your competition peers are in and around and are showing you, with you, these things are tangible. I can feel it and touch it because they're doing it. And I talk to these people every day, right? Another person in my competition peer space is someone I refer to as double R. Double R. And what does double R do for me? And what do I in turn do for them and for him? And that's the thing too, is you must do for them and they must do for you. And be in great competition and in great spirits. Double R and I talk about family regularly. He's been married about as long as I've been married. He's been with his wife longer than me because he's a little bit older than me, but we started on, he's been with his wife since he was 17, 18. So have I, right? So we have that in common. He has a child, I have 2 children. When we converse, we talk about the stock market, investment properties, and anything that deals with passive income. We also share stories about our children growing. His son and my daughter are in the same age group. And we share some of our feelings. And this is important, right? We get really in depth with our feelings of, wow, we've grown from this spot. We came from these areas, poor, and we're not rich financially yet, but we are well above the financial bracket we came from. I thought I'll just share briefly. I don't know if it helps me as far as why am I listening to this fucking guy, but the first job I ever had, I was making $4.15 an hour, and I was stacking beans in a grocery store. Now I'm in the top like 8% of earners as far as where my salary is concerned, and I don't have much of a background other than hard work. Don't have a degree. Don't have anything that you would think would catapult me to a senior director on the cusp of vice president level of an IT organization. I got some certifications along the way to keep myself relevant and expand myself, but I don't have the criteria you would look for. Anyway, so we grew up poor. We've gotten some things. We put our family in position to grow and excel and build our lives and our legacies outside of ourselves. So that's what myself and Double R talk about. I have another person who is new to my circle, VR. And the significance of VR is I have a headset on today, a mic in front of me, and a green screen behind me. Later on today, we're going to get into a session on how to optimize my recording, how to expand my channel, and how to just make the content the best it can possibly be, because VR has been doing this for over 10 years. The 5th person is my wife, competition peer. She's in my mentorship group. She's also in my competition peer group. Why? Because why wouldn't she be? She pushes me to be the greatest I can possibly be. I push her to be the greatest she can possibly be. And all impact that she has positive falls with me as well. All impact that she has negative, I feel and absorb as well. So super important, as we are the closest, she and I, in every one of my groups, she's my best of everything, that we stay in a healthy, competitive space together. I can be a better husband and you can be a better wife. I can be a better earner than you. I can be a better friend than you. I can be a better parent than you. Sounds crazy, but it's healthy. It's not to be where you braggadocious about it. And you don't ever sit at the table and say, I'm better than you at any of these things. Don't do that. You share that. I like being a really good father. I like being a really good husband. I like being a really good earner. Where are you? Healthy, not an indictment on anybody. And if she sees, oh, all right, you make $1 more than me, or you spent 1 minute more with our daughter, 1 minute more with our son, that inspires her to say, you know what, tomorrow, the next day, the next month, I'm going to give a little bit more. And that's healthy. That's what you want. Taking control of yourself requires being in tune with yourself. Who you are is comprised of so many things. We're one harmonious organism. All of us together, mind, body, and spirit, create this wonderful being. For our wonderful being to grow and expand, we need influences in and around us. We need to be in healthy competitive spirit. We need to aspire. We need to see things that are tangible. We need to have faith in the possibilities. We need to expand our being and be the best version we could possibly be. And taking control, for me, as I started this journey, one of the very first things was identifying the tiers that were important for my evolution. The mentorship tier, where I am learning and being inspired by someone who is doing more than me constantly and who has achieved more than me and can show me the way. Your competition peers should be people who are inspiring you at the very same level, achieving things that are in and around where you are. 3 Series, 5 Series, 7 Series BMW. Not that far away. And sometimes they're going to win before you do. And that should inspire the fuck out of you. And sometimes you're going to lose and they're going to lose and it's going to hurt in the most positive of ways. If the people in your competition peer group doesn't inspire you, close your circle and start Xing those motherfuckers out. They need to provide value. If they don't, they got to go. And we'll talk about that in another episode. Then you have, you selfish fuck, the nurturing tier, the serving. Serve, give back, share, be prosperous as a group. Expand yourself from one person to many, many, many people. This has been Raw 4. Take some damn control of yourself, man. Figure it out. Be blessed. And may everything you desire come to you exactly how you deserve it. Raw 4. We'll see you tomorrow.